Brusker, Executive Director at Friends of the Family, and welcome back to This and That.
I'm Hann, and I'm a victim support specialist, housing support specialist at Friends of the Family here in the Waterloo office.
Yeah, woo! How excited I am to have you be part of today's show.
I'm so thankful that you asked me, and I'm very excited to be here and talk a little bit about myself and what I do.
That's great. I also just called it a show, which makes it seem like it's way more than what it is.
Well, now it's going to be a TV show. So
Welcome to the show, people. Welcome to the show. All right. So you did your introduction. We're here today to really kind of talk about a client story and kind of just what it's like working with people that we come across every single day and have that privilege to do. But first, can you just take a second and explain to people kind of what your role is here at Friends of the Family?
I'd love to, yeah. So I'm a victim support specialist, and I do a lot more of the housing side of things. I work primarily with victims or survivors, which is the more preferred term to use, of domestic violence, human trafficking, sexual assault, and other violent crimes. And kind of on a day-to-day basis, what you can see me doing is going on client visits, providing emotional support through victim counselor certification through ICODVA, and being able to do some of that outreach resource and referral to other agencies, doing housing advocacy between landlords. Maybe if a landlord doesn't want to work with us, I can kind of mediate with that, kind of more of the advocacy kind of side of things.
Yeah. Quite a day sometimes, right?
Yeah, it really can be.
Everything's smooth, never emergencies, nothing you gotta like.
That would be the perfect day, but sometimes you'll run into emergencies.
Yep.
Sometimes you'll get a client that'll call you and they're in an immediate crisis, and you have to be ready. You have to be on your feet, kind of know what you're going to say, know how you're going to provide support in that instant. And that's what I love about the job. It keeps me on my toes, and I'm able to do work that matters.
Yeah. So what's really cool is you're going to share a client story.
Yes.
And I'm really excited to kind of hear because I don't even know what client story you're sharing. So I'm excited to hear it, and I hope you are excited to hear it. So yeah, go ahead. What you got for us?
So I'm going to talk about one of the first clients that I pulled onto my caseload while working in the human trafficking program that we have here at Home Free. When I pulled her into my caseload, she was ready to be kicked out of a shelter, be literally homeless, be on the streets. I pulled her onto my caseload on a Wednesday. I was told she's got to be out by Monday, so I had a really, really, really big, small time crunch that I had to kind of find this housing for. So I was able to get her housed by Friday. That Friday, we moved her in, and then as we continued to work, she became more successful in her own idea of success, which is finding a job, finding education. She ended up going to the We Build Waterloo program, and she is getting ready to graduate here soon. Creating money, creating financial stability. When I pulled her onto my caseload, she had nothing. She had $0 to her name, and now she's able to pay some of her rent. She's able to pay some of her utilities. Her apartment is starting to look like a home.
Oh, that's awesome. And so, I mean, I noticed really up front, you talked about from when she came into shelter or from when you engaged her in shelter to the time she was housed. What was that time period? How long was that?
It was 2 days.
2 days. 2 days to housing.
Yes.
That is absolute fabulous. So this journey, that you talked about with the client and the success of getting them housed in 2 days, as you're going in and you're talking to people, what do you feel like is the most impactful piece you're able to provide from a case management standpoint?
Sometimes it's just listening. Sometimes you'll get somebody where you're working with them and you're validating the emotions that they have, and they kind of take a step back and they're like, wow, you are the first person that has listened to me. You're the first person that has taken me seriously. And then from there, we build a plan together. We build, what do we want to do? What goals do we want to set? Thank you for sharing, but now how can we move forward to be sufficient, successful? What is your idea of success? What is your idea of building your home, building your own place to live and love?
Yeah, that's awesome. So would you say, success like this, is that isolated, do you think? Or are there a lot of client stories that end up like this where we see that success for people?
I would say success is not linear. To start out, we work in a very difficult field. You're gonna see success being, this is my first house, I'm able to get in, this is my first apartment. That can be success. Or even just, you referred me to a mental health clinic.
Yep.
this is the first time I felt like I can do this on my own, or this is the first time that I feel like I could reach out and talk to somebody.
Yep.
There's no set in stone idea of what success looks like, especially on the caseloads that we have here at Friends
Yep.
of the Family.
Yep. Many people leave permanently housed though.
Yes, they do, which is really exciting.
Yeah, yeah, and that's, it's such a key moment, right? That time that you kind of meet them for the last time.
Yeah.
I'm sure it creates some kind of a little bit of emotional baggage in some way,
It really
right?
does. Yeah, it really does. I am looking forward to some of the successful exits that I have coming up here soon. But I also really am kind of dreading it. I'm kind of dreading it because that means I've done my job, and they get to go out in the community and be themselves, and it's kind of like it's a bittersweet moment because I don't get to interact with them like I did anymore. It's kind of like the bird leaving the nest.
Yeah, yeah, and you're talking 9, 12, 13, 14, 15 months you might be working with someone, so you think about, relationships that are built in different dynamics, it's just natural, right?
You really learn how to build an emotional connection with the people that you work with. And that's why I really appreciate one of Friends of the Family's core values, emotional intelligence, because it really does shine through in moments like these where you're starting to build these really good relationships, these really meaningful and impactful relationships that you build with the people you work for.
Yeah, I really like how you connect that back to the core values through emotional intelligence and even people first, how you're uplifting and helping people move forward. It's so important. The client story and everybody you work with, how do you feel like your work helps us move forward towards that vision of everyone has a home?
I think it says a lot to the community. I think that the vision of everyone has a home here at Friends of the Family says the most to the community that we work in, and the agencies that we are partnering with, or the agencies that we're doing outreach with, because at the end of the day, housing is a basic human right. Everyone deserves that safe home. If you don't have a roof over your head, how are you supposed to feel like you are emotionally stable, like you're physically stable, like you have the resources? It all kind of winds down to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That core value in there, the very first thing they talk about is shelter. You need shelter to be able to feel safe.
Yep, absolutely. So I did prep you on this, but what do you feel like is your superpower?
Grit.
Grit.
I would say grit is my superpower. I definitely, on the hard days, it gives me a lot more motivation to really work for the end goal that everyone has a home.
What's really awesome about your superpower is also a core value again here at Friends of the Family. So either you're buttering up for that next big move, which you're doing well at this point in time, or talk about a perfect fit for the agency, right? And it's been fabulous having you here talking about, the client story and what you've experienced. I will also tell you her other superpower is she has the noisiest shoes in the office.
I do.
Yeah. Good luck to you on those, right?
Thank
we
you.
all point it out every
it.
morning.
Yeah, yes, I know.
Absolutely. So thanks for joining
Thank
this
you so
and that.
much.
It's been a pleasure, and we will talk to you soon.